Molly here. So, lots of conversation about last week's, what are we calling these? Lives, whatever, about me talking about the scale. Quite controversial. I understand. I'm not here to make friends, I'm just here to help. So, listen, I talked last week about this kind of like fear we have all about the scale and like, is that really necessary, right? Is it really necessary? Is this scale phobia necessary? Or is it like bringing us farther away from what we want? And the answer, so to me, it's like the the toxic tribalism we have going on right now, right? There's like diet culture and then there's anti-diet culture. And like, not in my opinion, the answer is never the opposite. The answer is always the balance. And to be honest with you, I would say the very same thing about the scale. And I talked last week about like my own experience with the scale and how like I was positive after my summer that like, I just thrown all caution to the wind and like I had gone back on a lot of my own personal values when it comes to my body and, frankly, what I want it to weigh and what feels good and healthy to me. And I'm, again, like not talking about personally wanting to weigh like 96 pounds. It's very healthy, my weight range. And it helps me understand where I'm going and what I want to do. So that really works for me, weighing in monthly, checking in with somebody. And lots of people have lots and lots of feelings about that, which I understand. I'm here to help with feelings and lots of other things. So I thought a little bit more about it. And again, I think my issue is really about how polarized we get when it comes to our feelings with the scale. Because a lot of times I'm talking to people about the stories that they told and the stories that they told and what they choose to believe and what becomes a belief and what becomes a story. And a lot of times when I'm helping people to find solution, like my main question is like, wait, do you really believe that? Wait, can we talk that through for a second? So this week's installment, I just want to tell you two very quick stories because I think the thing about life and relationships, and certainly relationships with food and our body, and this, journey we go on when it comes to this, I think it's ever evolving and ever changing. And if it isn't for you, if you're just in like perfect harmony, like namaste on that, call me, I want to talk. But if you're not, I think the relationship with food, your relationship with body, it's like it's ever evolving. So in that way, we do need to check in on the old stories and on all the behaviors to see if they're working for us, they're not working for us, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I just wanted to bring you two case studies. So the first case study is a client of mine who, listen, she's like pretty happy at her body weight. When she gets on a scale, it's like she just starts telling stories. She's always really been at a healthy body weight for her. And I guess I use healthy body weight. It's her words, not mine. So her reasoning to come and write her relationship with food was really about like what was going on in here. It wasn't health concerns. It wasn't anything like that. And so in the course of treatment, like, yeah, anytime she got on the scale, it made her pretty batty. And so my suggestion in the beginning was like, hey, let's not get on a scale. Let's not really worry about that because it wasn't high enough on her priority list, whatever. So about like 10 years later, that's still her truth, right? She doesn't get on the scale. It's not interesting to her. There's nothing there that she's going to find that's going to do anything. Again, when we think about our values and we think about our goals, her having any relationship with the scale doesn't bring her closer to any of that, right? So she still goes to the doctor today, goes on backwards, says, I'm not interested in it. And it really works for her. She is happy as a clam. But this is really the story that I wanted to tell you today. So I also have a client and she wants to release a lot of weight. She is 150 pounds overweight. She's released 40 pounds in a year. Amazing. Broken up with sugar, great relationship with food. So many things in her life has changed. It's a miraculous thing. Total honor and privilege to be a part of her journey with her. And so she says to me, kind of like, shamefully, like, I really wish I would have released more weight than this. And I said, well, because she weighs herself every month. And she says, I kind of wish I would have released more weight than this. And so we had this very overarching conversation, a little bit about what she was putting into her body and a little bit about the scale. And I said, the best way to, get to releasing this weight, I think, is to have more of a consciousness around how much weight you're releasing every week, because that's a significant amount of weight to want to release. And, that I think is very reasonable to release. And she just like looked at me like I had 15 eyes, and she was like, oh, I can't have a scale in my house. I can't have a scale around me. And I'm like, well, help me through that. Like, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen if you have a scale in your house? And she's like, well, I'm going to get on it 15 times a day and blah, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go crazy. And this is like my issue in general with like diet culture, because talk about giving away your power, right? Like someone's like, I'm just so scared the other shoe's going to drop. And I'm like, the other shoe dropping is like an event. It's not a thing. The other shoe dropping is like, you have to like get a ladder, get up the ladder, take your shoe off, and then throw your shoe down. That's how the other shoe drops. Which I say that because the other shoe dropping is a conscious act, right? And there are so many times from thinking about buying the ladder to throwing the shoe down the chute that you can ask for help. And I think even maybe more importantly, understand deep and profound things about yourself, that when we're just caught in the story of the other shoe's going to drop, so I can't do it, we never learn anything. We never evolve our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with food, our relationship with this path that we're on. And so I said the same thing to her. I said, well, because to me, somebody getting on a scale 15 times a day is indicative of a bigger problem, and one that needs to be understood and processed and thought about. And here we are just giving the scale all the power and not finding solution and insight and understanding and evolution within ourselves, right? So I said, how about we try it this way? How about you get a scale in your house? You weigh yourself on Wednesday mornings. You let me know what it says. You have some accountability. If you get on more than once, we'll talk about it. We'll chain it. We'll have a deeper understanding of what's going on with you that you got on that scale more than once. You went against what you said. And let me tell you something. Number one, from a weight release perspective, this woman is rocking and rolling. The weight is coming off in a way that is so healthy. She feels so empowered. And I think, honestly, I'm not to put words in her mouth, but I think she feels super inspired because she is no longer like a victim to this, like, oh my God, I'm going to go crazy if I get on the scale. Like, I think that's kind of my big thing with it. Now, listen, I also want to say, everybody's different. So I don't want anybody to hear what I'm saying, like, go get on the scale. I think it's just more about we give away so much of our power to diet culture. I mean, diet culture has us scared stiff. Scared stiff. And that's my problem, right? Like, listen, there may have been a case with this particular client where it's like, I would, where she's like, listen, I really can't stop getting off the scale. And I'd be like, hey, how about we just put that up on the shelf? Maybe we'll pick it up again in 8 months or a year, right? Like, I'm not saying that this is everybody's story. Like, please don't hear me say that. But anytime I hear somebody have this giving away power fear to something that just doesn't, like, it's not nuclear war, it's a scale, right? Like, that's really where my issue lies. It's like really about finding our own truth here. It's really about not giving away our power and tapping into our internal wisdom. And I think she's learned so much. And I say this about the client I told you about first, like, she's also like, that woman is also like very sure that she doesn't want to get on the scale. It is like not something she's interested in. And that's her truth. And it's consistent with her values, and it's consistent with her goals. And so I want to put that out there for everybody. Just like, can we talk about this? Like, just giving away our power to diets and diet culture and the scale. It's like, oh, take back your power. Take back your power. Also, side sell. We talk about this a lot at Intensati that I do on Tuesday mornings at 8 o'clock and one Saturday a month. So powerful. It's really a beautiful practice to learn how to take back your power, because a lot of us have been drilled down so down to the bottom. You're like, yeah, I've given away my power, but like, I'm not quite sure how to get it back. I can help you get it back. Or at least just like leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about it. But this is a conversation we need to be having over and over and over and over again, because diet culture is so incredibly insidious, right? And it creeps into like the any place that it can find. And I really believe for many of us with this scale thing, like, I mean, no one melted that if she had weighed herself 15 times, like, that's not permanent damage. That's an opportunity to have a better understanding of herself. And by the way, we don't do that alone. Like, the only thing I want to say about all of this is like, don't do this alone. You do this with an accountability partner. You do this with a trained therapist. That's who most people are doing it with me. You do it with a very skilled coach, but it's not. I just want us to be making sure that the story we're telling ourselves about all of this is a story that we agree with, and a story that is consistent with our values and with our goals. Can we go there? So anyway, love you. Love you, love you. Let me know what you think. Let's have some conversations about this. I have another idea, but I'm going to talk about it next week. We're going to have one more conversation about the scale next week. Tune in. Let me know what you think. Know that I love you. Know that I believe wholly in everything that you're doing. If I know anything as an addictions and eating disorders therapist, here's what I know. You never, ever know which time is going to work. You never, ever know which attempt at a new relationship with food and yourself is going to work. That's why we never, ever, ever, ever give up on ourselves. And all of it is an opportunity for growth. All of it. Every misstep is such an opportunity to get a better look at ourselves, to get a better understanding of what's going on. That's the key. So kind of like F you diet culture. Love ya. Bye.